Hey everyone, this is Ali from Vixul, and today I have with me Thiago Maior from EZOps. Thiago, he's doing some very interesting stuff with AI in his tech services company EZOps, and I thought that would make a very interesting topic for all of us. So, Thiago, why don't we start with you introducing yourself?
So I am originally from Brazil, right, from Rio de Janeiro. I start my career as a developer, backend developer. Eventually, I started to work with cloud and DevOps. That was something around 10 to 11 years ago. After working like a couple of years with cloud, I started work remotely with Flux 7 company that Ali
I know that one.
founders. And as I was working with Flux 7, I saw a big opportunity because I had a lot of offers from other companies to work with DevOps. I think, although DevOps started with 2009, and I started with Flux 7, working remotely, and ideally, I kind of learned how to work remotely. And Flux 7 was my first experience also. I started to have a lot of opportunities of a company trying to hire me to do the same kind of the same thing, right? So it was very exciting working remotely for American companies and doing DevOps and working with cloud and everything. Um, Also, those companies that were actually offering me roles was kind of startups, right? So I could see a lot of opportunity that startups couldn't find, cloud engineers and DevOps professionals know to deploy the
Yeah.
infrastructure without they actually hiring, big firms like Flux7, for instance, that have big clients. So I start to, I have some colleagues back then that I just asked them to work with me. And we started a small group working with those startups. Eventually, I also found the Upwork platform that actually helped even find more clients like that. I eventually made a business out of it. I was eager to implement everything that I actually learned in Flux 7, everything that was in the market. I was trying to implement all those solutions in a number of different clients, and I was really excited being responsible to create a full infrastructure by myself or with my team. And we create a business around that, focus on smaller clients, focus on startups, supporting them over time, kind of like MSP, if you say. And eventually the team really grew, right? We started just with myself, but with a couple of guys. And we are over almost 50 engineers now. I also moved to Florida and started the company here.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, and that's actually another topic that we want to go under. I think one context that's actually very useful for people. You were actually in the first cohort of Excel, right?
Yes, I think that that was pretty funny, right? So when I actually was moving to the US, Vixul was just starting, and as you and Nader was my first actually employers for DevOps and cloud, right? And where I learned everything, and you guys were starting Vixul, it's kind of a fit, right? I was really excited. I didn't know if you guys were starting right away, but it did fit the same month that I actually moved to the US was the month that we started the first
It
cohort.
was perfect timing. It was,
Perfect
the
time. And after I actually migrated to the US, I know I double revenue. So, and any kind of risk that I had, just went away, I think.
what do you mean by any kind of risk went away?
Any kind of software service company, right? Uh, the risks are too high, right? And why is that? Because you have a lot of costs, because you have a lot of salaries to pay, right? And you have to generate a lot of revenue. You have, for instance, an Upwork, you have competitors, right? The freelancers are actually competitors from a company like mine, right? For any kind of service company that is not huge or there is a lot of money from investors, right? In my case, even worse because I'm from Brazil. So back then, I didn't have a way to easily get loans, right? If I need it,
Mm. Yeah.
right? So there's no money around. You you can't you can't make a lot of mistakes in this kind of
Yeah.
situation,
Actually,
right?
that's a common issue for services companies, right? Like getting funding is very difficult unless you're already very connected or you're already very, very big and successful. Early on in a services company, they make you suffer. Like it's a trial by fire to actually be in a position where you're taken seriously.
Yes. And I think you got it right, right? Connections are everything,
Yeah.
right? So as an immigrant, right, with an
Yeah.
outsourcing company trying to um, um, allocate people from other countries also, right? Everything's difficulty. Uh, when you get to the US, you understand that connections and everything.
Right.
You see how you have a lot of companies also that are based, the whole company have 100 people, 200 people that are based sometimes just on the connections of the CEO,
That's
right?
true. That's true, and that is actually a very real risk, right? In some ways, I think a company like you that's built from the ground up, the connections are earned connections. People that you met yourself is in a far more stable place because they don't have this projection. Like every one of their clients they've earned. It's not as if they got a whole bunch of freebies and after that growth they're like, okay, what do we do now?
Yeah. You get to understand that everybody has connection, company relies on those connections. And that's funny because sometimes, CEOs get a lot of money and it's not only because they do good work, is that because they're actually bringing all the relationships that they have to the company. They're selling to those people, right? They're not bringing just their work. They're bringing, it's like they are, like Formula One drivers, when they go to their teams, they bring all the advertising with them. It's not only them, right? They are
Right.
bringing money, right? So it was not easy. But I
I
guess,
just realize how Brazilian you are. Like, I mean, obviously, I know you're Brazilian, but giving a Formula One analogy, that I think that's pretty Brazilian. I think the only way you could have topped that was soccer. Sorry, football for normal people.
soccer.
We're
Uh,
both Americans now, Thiago, so we can call it soccer.
but I think that I got lucky for one thing. It was not only when I moved here, I think it was back in Brazil, right? When we started, we had I remember that I had five big clients, right? And it's not because of the money. The money was good, but I had five big clients. The problem with having five big clients that I think I had, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 engineers. Um, it was that I hated to have five clients because I didn't have five clients. I had five bosses,
Mhm.
right? And those guys just understood that I was nothing without him and I had a big risk and they just push us really hard, right? So eventually I got an idea that no, I can't stand more working like that. I prefer having I don't know 15 clients, 20 smaller clients and five big clients,
Wow.
right? It's
How many
way
are you right now? How many projects is your revenue distributed over?
we can have 50 to 60 active clients in
Wow.
a week, in a month, right? In a week, I would say, at the same time, not in a week, at the same time. But active, we have over 100,
Wow.
right?
Okay. So
Because
active, basically on retainer, on contract, you have 100, but active work going on around 50,
yes,
50 of them, which is very, very different economics than most consulting companies, which is also very interesting. So I know we were supposed to talk about AI, but this is also very interesting from another perspective. What's your biggest percentage of one customer?
I think that it doesn't get to 10%,
Okay.
right?
And so the biggest hit you can take is possibly 10%, which is a lot better than most really, really good,
Yes,
big, really, really good consulting companies. Most early stage companies will not be able to do that.
yes. And that's the difference, I think. So this small decision that I had maybe 5, 6 years ago changed everything because all the risk went away because it's so diversified, and you build a client base really big. So you have clients coming back all the time. You create relationship with clients, and you build projects end, but the clients come back. So that's what made everything different, and that's what reduced our risk over time. Although we do have a Oracle profile, right? We do have a really good interview with is the Upwork success story. That also helps, but it keeps bringing smaller client, but it keeps bringing more leads. We will never depend on bigger clients. But to be honest, we are having bigger clients right now. But the idea is to grow with the big client, but keeping the small clients in, because that's where we reduce the risks.
Wow, and this is definitely like something that when you started off at Vixul, that was something that really stood out to us, and how good you were in client concentration, and how well managed EZOps was in client concentration, and in our brain trust calls, a lot of the very experienced veteran founders really commented on how great a job that you had done in that area. Huge kudos to you for taking that strategic decision.
Yeah, and that helps in all the areas of the company. Because if you think you have 50 clients to manage, it won't depend on you. But if I had 5 or 10, maybe I could manage all those 10 clients, right? I could personally guarantee to him. So I could still have myself as a professional manage those projects, right? But I can't do that with 50, with 100. So my team had to develop themselves. Start to have a company that sells by themselves, that resells, so the team gets better.
You've built in comparable scale to far larger companies in that sense. You have the full customer acquisition cycle in place. You can't rely on referrals. You have to rely on new leads. You have to build processes to be able to find new leads, capture new leads, deliver to those customers, and it really has helped you elevate your team and yourself to a higher level. So definitely, really cool to see.
Yeah, I that was make you different. That was can guarantee that you're gonna, continue providing those work, so your risk gets pretty low, right?
Oh, and obviously the biggest part in all of that is you get to sleep better at night.
Oh yeah, for sure. Right. So you never sleep better, to be honest, but a little better.
You find a way. You always find a way to stay awake, right?
Yeah, for sure. But it's really good to see the team develop. But also, you create a way for customers' feedback really quick, because still have to understand what is working, what's not. So you have to get good feedback, and then customer relationships is really important to develop, right? Something that so we have to develop so many areas, right? So leads generation, how to get contact with leads, how to get contact with all the clients, but also making sure clients are really satisfied all the time. There are feedbacks that are not showing everything, but I do make available for the clients. So if they don't like the work, they're gonna have contact me, because also Slack, right? So you are always available. But eventually the team take care of that. So you create ways to manage that so clients are happy, the solution is good. You create also a way for the professionals to develop themselves, because they're building the solutions with different clients and getting feedback. So we have people also collaborating technically. So everything works around that. Even if it doesn't work, you get the information pretty quick, and you are able to talk to clients all the time also to get feedback from them.
From that perspective, you're able to build more systems, more robust systems for gathering feedback, for monitoring the progress of projects. That puts you, in many ways, these are the strengths that a lot of consulting companies don't get to develop, because there's too much of that custom, kind of like too much of the white glove service, which makes it hard to develop processes and IP to help. And so you're able to develop that just from having a very high number of customers.
Yes. So more customers, it pushes you to, provide good, do things the right way. That was always a strategy. But it was really easy because all the companies, all the investors, everybody says you otherwise, right? Get big clients, get big contracts, right? Get the $1 billion contract. So I think that it made the whole change, but at the same time, you have the market, always working in different ways.
So I must admit that when we started working with you, we did have that bias in the value of bigger clients. But as we started talking, as we started to understand EasyOps better, it really did help us understand that you had a very good working system
Yeah.
that you have mastered and that you are using really well.
It was a great discussion because Vixul help out try to understand what was the right position for EasyOps. Because should we keep with the smaller clients, right? Was that a good market, or should we find bigger clients? Should we charge more and trying to find where are the bigger places for EasyOps Cloud, right? So that was a big help. The whole discussions, the whole feedback with other companies, discussion, finding out how the other companies are doing, how we are doing this kind of brainstorming with other companies, really made us realize where we were better, right? Where we can find ourselves in the market,
What was some major area of improvement after you worked with Vixel? Something that you learned that
I think that's what the point. So uh, when we started discussing, the idea was how can EasyOps Cloud get big contracts? But eventually we realized, no, that's going to be too hard for us to get, that really big contracts, and it's going to be that's going to be not only hard for us to get big contracts to acquire, but also going to be hard to implement the whole thing because the structure of the team is different. So we had two ways. We had to restructure ourselves to do that, or find another way, continue what we are doing. So we actually have to put together a whole kind of data analysis process to figure out which was best for EasyOps Cloud, and keeping comparing ourselves with the companies that are also fixed over there and discussing with them which situation which were better, right? So eventually, yeah, at the end of the cohort, we had this big data pipeline and data analysis process, that just made us realize how good this was. The amount of leads that we have that kept the contracts coming all year long, right? And at the same time, we were able to see how other companies might be struggling because one client could kill them if they lost that contract, and how hard it was to acquire new contracts for other companies. It was a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of money invested that might, not come back, right? And they had to get loans. And so with Vixul, we saw that those companies were good because some companies were able to invest a lot of money and get big contracts. That's great. Other companies at the same times, they invest a lot of money and they didn't have the contracts, and then they basically were, out of the market. But us, we are always generating new leads and new contracts. And then eventually we look at the data and saw together, that's EasyOps Cloud market. That's really good. There's no reason to do that. Just focus on that. Clients are happy. That's a big market that most companies don't develop.
don't fix what's not broken.
Yes, it's exactly that. That's the difference. So it's 3 years since we got here and we started the cohorts with Vixul. Uh, we keep growing. We keep doing what we do best, right? We keep finding new clients, getting new clients, and even with the last year, for instance, was not a great market, but we still will generate new leads. We still generate new contracts, right? So that what Vixul helped realize this whole process, right? And of course, develop new things, new invest in more stuff, but making sure that operation that works pretty well keep working.
Okay. So I'm going to do a little bit of a change in topic right now. So we were talking about how your company is more scalable and has a lot more things implemented scale. and how that has to be backed by IP and processes. And I think what you have in IP is an extremely interesting thing. You've talked to us about ACE a little bit, and what I find interesting about ACE is we know there's a revolution happening on AI. We know that it's going to change how things are done, how everything is done. Uh, it's made product a lot closer to services, and services a lot closer to product. If you can create custom software in a day, then is it a product or is it a service? Is a human prompting a few times? Is that a product or is it a service? When I saw the what you've done doing with ACE, I saw a little bit of the potential for what we should be looking at, what we should be expecting. So that's why I wanted to talk about ACE to everyone. So why don't we first start? Why don't you tell us more about ACE?
Okay. So over the years, I think all service company, right? So service companies are selling service, right? So they are selling hours of work from professionals. So they always want to sell more because we are selling process, we are selling the hours of experienced engineers that we find, we train, but that's sometimes very subjective. So every companies they want to have some IP. They don't want to become a SaaS because at the same time a SaaS is a whole another thing. But having someone that really differentiates them from others, right? And make it easy to their clients to continue working with them, because sometimes, especially on the infrastructure side, right? So if you do a really good work, it means that you don't have more work to do. From these all 9 years, we always try to find time and motivation to build an IP. And a couple of years back, AI started. And we just playing around, see some opportunities, see how we can help. But again, we have a lot of engineers. So eventually they were using AI a lot to build and was showing to us and showing to me personally how they could use AI, to help them work. At the same time, we also how we can differentiate ourselves for customers when we are delivering something for them. So if we deliver with half of the time from a normal engineer, that is going to be great, right? So I think AI fit with the fact that every service company wants some IP, right? And you want to deliver better, you want to differentiate yourself in the market, right? So since we do so many projects, we eventually, and we do a lot of similar projects, right? The more clients we have, the more stuff, the more projects that we do, more similar projects we do. We also had a big library of infrastructure, right? Of infrastructure as a code that we always use. So what if we could have built something that could help first the engineers to develop, to deliver faster, but also to clients, because we had a lot of clients that wants support outside of the time of the business hours, and we always struggle like having people being available for those clients. So we spent over a year playing around with AI, see how we could fit those two things. We know that AI could generate code. How could they also help our clients, right? That's when the concept of an agent AI, an agentic AI, where you could have the AI not only generating code, but also having access to actually build or support our clients. Since we have smaller clients, there are clients that actually don't like a lot of meetings, so it's only Slack communication. So how good would it be if they are actually talking to an AI at any time of the day and discussing about the infrastructure, but not only fixing it, right? How much can we simulate an AI that actually is like one of our engineers? We play around with a lot of times with a lot of different technologies, models, and everything. And we eventually got a really good prototype over a year ago, and we start building our IP. But it got so good, the results are so incredible that we just thought that what if we make a product out of that? It amazed us so much that people need to see that, right? People need to see this agent working sometimes as one of our engineers, and pretty fast.
Thiago, could you describe ACE?
Besides a lot of security, it has ways to understand the client infrastructure, just like an engineer, it has access to the documentation of the client, So it helps makes better decision. It have access to whatever the client wants to give him access to, AWS, Azure, GitHub, the source code, right? Of course, with all our securities behind, right? It has ways to self-learn. That's really important because we want to also give our experience with ACE. So ACE is able to be guided by us. And as he do more stuff, as we work more, he's able to learn from that.
If I were to describe ACE, it would be your agentic chatbot, agentic AI chatbot, which will help the customer understand the infrastructure. It's tier one support done as an agentic AI chatbot. Would that be a good description?
Yes, but I do think he's able to do way more stuff. He's able to diagnose any kind of issues. He's able to review the infrastructure to see if there is security problems, see if a deployment and a source code have any kind of issues, right? It's an AI that are giving access to part of your source code of infrastructure. And with that, he can help the whole operation. At the same time, it does have a monitoring agent, EZOps, that is able to keep looking at the infrastructure all the time. Look at your logs, look at your metrics, your monitoring metrics, and see if there is something wrong, right? If there is something wrong, is able to look at your Kubernetes cluster, for instance, and diagnose everything. And being always available. At the same time, that is also helping any developer or engineer from our side, from the client side, to build things faster, to reduce the amount of hours, and to develop in a standardized way, to develop the right way, right? That's why startups are ideal for that, because you have a tool that is always there for you. You don't have to depend on so many professionals, sometimes all over the world.
Right.
And this tool can support you, can make sure you're secure, and can make sure everything's working as you expect.
So tell me more, Thiago, and how the tool works. What's the synergy that you have with the tool?
Okay, so since we use a lot of Slack, right? So the idea is just Ace become one of the DevOps engineer, right? One of the cloud engineers, if you want. So the cloud engineer for the client, they are just talking about security, the infrastructure. So whatever the clients wants to ask, look, can you check my users that are using AWS, right? Can you check my infrastructure? Can you review my costs on an AWS account and see how much, if there is any opportunity? So to a customer, he looks like a DevOps engineer, a cloud engineer from his team. From our side, for instance, we have our engineers using him to build templates, right? So build a template to create the VPC with private subnets, with a load balance on the private subnets, and build a pipeline and just run that for me.
And what is the data that it's trained on? So the templates it's using, it's building them based on your standard templates, or is it just building them based on what it believes?
So we have a knowledge base, right? So as somebody requests something from him, it will get our knowledge base, right? It will get its own knowledge base from things that he did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
It will check with different models to see the best solution, and then it's going to do what needs to be done. So there is a lot of steps. So it's not a single chatbot with a single model, but a process that it goes through a lot of steps, to decide what to do, especially because there's a lot of security behind it.
It's DevOps, right? Like a security issue will compromise everything.
Yes. So see where environment is doing. Is that something new? Or is that it might touch in the operation, right? Or is that so we have to understand also the documentation from the client. It decides based in the really big complex process flow that they eventually get the results. But we keep adding the process, and the process that we had the same one that we train our engineers, right?
Mhm.
So it's the same thing. We want to act just like them. It builds templates quickly, it deploys quickly, and since it's guiding by us, right, it's also very compliant because it's looking at the compliance for specific clients. Oh, I have to do this and that before I can't. It's very secure because it's putting the keys the right way, not in a place that maybe a developer might put. So it's very secure, and it's a really help for our engineers.
Is it trained not only on the hey, these are the best practices, but then is it also trained on these are bad practices and do not do these?
A big example, right? So when you build, oh, let me build something directly in production, and then they can say, are you sure I want to do that? Maybe you want to update the Terraform code on GitHub instead of actually doing that directly in production. So that's something it does, right? So making sure developers are not doing stuff and maybe forgetting to update. Even for instance, documentation is automatic, right? So whatever it does, it's going to update the documentation. But doing things the wrong way is something that he always worried, and making sure even if the developer forgets, that he can do it later.
So what you say about documentation is very interesting. I don't know if there was an overlap with this initiative when you were with Flux 7, but I actually did try to take this initiative at Flux 7 using a whole bunch of bots and having them create documentation in MediaWiki for different applications. When you're trying to do DevOps, right, the goal is that the developers are more aware of the infrastructure underlying it, so they can make smart decisions. That everybody is more aware of the end-to-end business value from developer down to getting money from the developer, right? And having a unified solving those knowledge discovery problems. Like I don't even know where to find information. That's like really critical to that. And I had that failed effort at Flux 7 trying to do that. At that time, we didn't have the tools there with AI, but it seems like now the technology has actually advanced, and you are actually doing that right now. A developer does not need to become a DevOps engineer today, but as they hit questions and as they hit falls, they can use their AI assistant to get themselves unblocked and keep going.
Yeah, that was our first feature. So it's something that we call like the discovery process. We want to reduce the time for onboarding new clients. We want to understand what the clients have pretty quick, right? So like, oh, give me access to this Kubernetes and map all the Kubernetes. Give me access to this cluster, see all the application. Let me see what the pipeline does, right? So it takes a lot of time, right? So the idea was to create a discovery process that could map all the application, all the pipeline, even the source code to see configurations, passwords, where they put the passwords and everything, the risks. So we spent months and months to create like an ideal discovery process, right? And that's what it's able to do. So it starts with the application, like critical application from the client, and just go around it, get all the resources from the cloud account, and then process it together and create an amazing documentation. And you're like, oh, this is the application. This application is talking to this database. It's talking to this Redis. Oh, they're in the same subnet, right? This is the production. This is the development. Oh, there's something weird here with this server. We don't know. There's nothing clear what it does, and do that in something around 20, 30 minutes, right?
Nice.
So that was the first feature, and that's the first thing that my developers starts actually to use. That sometimes engineers struggle a little bit with new things, but with the discovery process, the first thing that they use, and pretty quick, because they hate to map everything out. They hate to document. Right? All those guys hate.
Awesome. That's really good to hear. And what are some of the things that your customers have said, and what is the feedback that the customers have given you so far?
Pretty good, right? Everybody loves to talk to Ace. Of course, some feedbacks based on the experience, right? Guiding him, and customizing him. So for now, all good. He is able to fix things automatically in production, or even support the team over emergencies. Really good, but we are taking, of course, really slow and trying to improve Ace, right? But only good reviews so far. But we are trying to make it better, building dashboards also for clients that they like to see everything that Ace is doing. Trying to centralize our communication from Ace is also really good from their side, so they can understand everybody that are talking to Ace, right? So we are building features, increasing, and the idea is that by the end of this month, or next month we're gonna have the first version with everything done that we're gonna try to expand and getting even more feedback, right? Ace is a pool of feedbacks because everything he does he also let us know if it's working well or not because he get the feedback right away from the client.
Got it. And one thing that I'm curious about is you have the risk with AI, the hallucination risk, and I'm assuming a lot of that is mitigated by using all of the customization, all of the IP that you have backed. But what are you doing to overcome that risk, and how are you convincing your clients that it's safe to give the gates of the kingdom to ACE?
So a lot of layers of security, right? Besides before executing ACE, right? And we do have our own internal LLM for to review the commands of execution, right?
Right.
So it doesn't hallucinate. So there's a lot of layers from different models before it actually execute something, but we do have our final steps that it's an internal security layer that holds everything, you know. So no issues at all.
Kind of like a blue team, red team model, in which you have one model generating the commands to be executed, and a different model challenging those commands and trying to make sure that they're working.
A lot of models charging the commands, and you do have to understand that the sandbox of execution is on our environment, right? So models are just analyzing code, analyze solutions, right? And we internally execute, not any mod, so they don't decide anything, right? So we do the execution.
Okay, okay, that makes a lot of sense. You are obviously very satisfied with the work that ACE is doing. So, what is your vision on what consulting will look like over after this AI revolution?
I think people have. I think it's a great opportunity, right? So I remember 10 years ago, right? This moment just seems like the DevOps moment that we had, Ali, right? So maybe because you were in Flux, maybe you had this same moment a little before me, right? 3 4 years ago, maybe before me,
Maybe,
right?
2014 is when we decided that DevOps is what it is. So, not really that much before you.
I think maybe DevOps is what is AI today, right? Remember that when DevOps started, everybody was afraid. I remember that I have dozens of discussions with testing people that, oh my God, DevOps testing is gonna die, right? So, oh, even with cloud, so oh, there's not gonna be more infrastructure engineers because of cloud and containers, right? That was a big discussion. I think it's the same situation now with AI. I'm lucky and happy to be actually in the exact moment that this is happening, but it's a huge opportunity for engineers, especially Vixul. There was a really good presentation of an AI engineer that said, "Look, AI is not smart. AI cannot sum two numbers, right?
Mhm,
It get it done, but it can't do it, right?
mhm.
So there's a lot of opportunity to develop solutions just like ACE around AI, right? We want to build IP, but AI brought an opportunity for us to build that.
One of the things that you're saying is very interesting, right? Like it's not smart; it is very, very wise. Things that were trivial for like there really needs to be a lot of hey, this is what needs to be done by AI, and this is what needs to be done
Yeah.
based on what we already know.
Also funny that I've been hearing that for the past at least 3 years that AI is gonna kill service companies,
Hmm.
right? It's crazy. That's not gonna happen. It's gonna open more opportunities for engineers, especially for the good ones that understand what needs to be done. So bad companies that hire people that can't do it or takes a lot of time or doesn't understand exactly what they are doing, and we have a lot of clients that get to us with that situation, with that kind of product. That's not going to happen anymore because people are actually going to have to understand everything the AI doing to actually work with the AI. So it is an opportunity. So it's not killing. It's not like there is lovable building interface automatically. It's just an opportunity to build more, right? To deliver more. It's just a tool, just like DevOps, right? And it's pretty cool to be at this specific moment, building solutions around that. And that's gonna different the market, because a lot of people thinking that, oh, it's gonna die, it's not a big opportunity, but it is. I think to support AI and to build solutions with AI tool. And if you don't understand, you're gonna, of course, it's gonna be hard for you. But if you do understand and is able to build great products, it's gonna be a huge opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for those thoughts, Thiago. So, and also thank you for all of your time. We're approaching the end of our time box. I just had one last question for you. What is some advice that you have for other founders and prospective founders as they're doing it? I guess one of the piece of advice you just gave was do AI and service is not going to die. But in addition to that.
Yeah, try to find where AI can help you, right? In development, also in marketing, right? It helps help us a lot with marketing. Um, and don't invest that much in lead generation that everybody wants to do, right? Try to get connects, try to find build relationship with people that actually can help your business, because marketing and lead generation can kill a company that keeps looking at it. So trying to build your relationship with customers, that's what's gonna differentiate you in the
And
market.
to clarify, what you're saying is don't run blindly after new customers, but also like make sure that you're providing a lot of value to your existing customers and build long-term relationships.
Yes, especially with AI or something else, of course, not only AI, but AI is a really good start. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Thiago. Thank you for talking through all of that, and thank you for telling us about what you're doing with ACE.
No problem at all. Thank you.